Back in Africa, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has launched its 50th anniversary celebration with a renewed commitment to deeper integration, prosperity and stability across West Africa. The launch, which took place in the Ghanaian capital, Accra, marked the beginning of a series of activities to be held in each member state. These events are intended to give concrete expression to the ideal of an ECOWAS of the people. On the 20th of May, 1975, the dream of a united, integrated and prosperous West Africa became a reality as leaders of 15 West African countries gathered in Lagos, Nigeria, to establish a regional organization capable of addressing the region's economic, social, political and security challenges. Today, ECOWAS stands as a symbol of unity and hope for over 400 million people across West Africa. Declaring the event's lineup open, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Toure, said the 50th anniversary is intended to celebrate, reflect, preserve and build on the gains of regional integration for the West African people. But precisely how has the regional bloc done its job in half of a century? I'm joined on the news this hour by international affairs analyst Paul Ejime, who joins me live from the United Kingdom. Mr. Ejime, thanks for joining us this hour on the news. Let's begin with ECOWAS' impact on regional security. How do you think ECOWAS's efforts to enhance regional security and stability have contributed to the overall development of the sub-region, considering the recent rise in terrorist threats and unconstitutional changes in government?
Oh, thank you for having me. I will say it is a mixed bag. But when you look at it from the fact that the organization was set up to facilitate regional integration, but what happened for a decade or more, it was bogged down with peace and security. Formed in 1975, by 1989, there was this war in Liberia, followed by the one in Sierra Leone and so on. And since then, conflict has never left the region. In fact, the region is considered as a coup zone or instability epicenter. And so ECOWAS has been grappling with all this. It managed to stop the wars in Liberia and then Sierra Leone, and then cutting its teeth as one of the, in fact, a trailblazer in an organization, a regional economic community. And there are 8 of them in Africa, but it's the only one that can raise its head as the one that has been able to do something about putting out fires that are always happening. The fires are still there, and compounded by what you call the geopolitical shift, and then with the attendant threats like terrorism, and then climate change, and so on and so forth. So ECOWAS is there. You will say, so now it's actually, and it is from that accomplishment that people tend to judge ECOWAS, because they say the reward for more work, for good work, is more work. So they are expecting ECOWAS to have consolidated, to have built on what it has done over the years. But what I said about these issues, about the changes in international geopolitics, has also hampered ECOWAS's effectiveness. That today, like you noted, 4 of its 15 members are under military regime. And then you look at the problem with elections, that are flawed. And then, but it's not just only in the region. I think all the regions are grappling with it, but ECOWAS should do more. I think that is what we'll say. And that comes with leadership. I think when the right leadership is there, then from the national to it will affect the region. But for the moment, I think there is that deficit, and that is what ECOWAS is suffering from. But that should not take away what ECOWAS has achieved in the past in terms of free movement, in terms of trade, in terms of, stability, because it has done so more than any of the 8 regional economic
and yet there is so much potential to do more. You talked about the military regimes. Given the recent withdrawal of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso from the regional bloc, precisely what do you believe might be the challenge? What challenge needs to be addressed, hindering deeper integration among member states? And how do you think this problem can be solved to strengthen real regional bloc?
It is about delivering on governance. And what do you mean by governance? It's not government, but governance. Governance encompasses the fact that you have to look at the social, issues that affect the people, the economic, the political, and then cultural and religious. And that is when you now are able to bring food to the table. There is infrastructure, roads, hospitals. You don't have leaders leaving the region to look for medical attention elsewhere. You have good roads like the one you have where the leaders or the political class, they visit places where they find good roads and good transportation. They visit places where there is human rights. People are allowed to express themselves as, enshrined in the Constitution. You also have places where people can pursue their business. There is security. Now, the whole region plus Sahel is, engulfed in insecurity. And so when governments are not able to deliver on this, what you have is retrogression. What you have is backwardness. What you have is, lack of progress. So I think that ECOWAS will have to reinvent itself, innovate, and then recalibrate, and go back and do some of those things that it did in the past that worked. Bring the what you call the good examples, that things that works. And for me, my thesis regarding these countries that are out of ECOWAS, the so-called Alliance of Sahel states, I will say, it's not the idea, but the point is that, one, there is no appetite for military rule. That one, let us get it, the rule of the thumb. The other one, if they want to pursue their national interests as a group of countries in a region, as an alliance, they're free to do so. But they can also still belong to ECOWAS, just like other organizations.
I hear you clearly, Mr.
UNWA, which they belong to.
Yes.
And then Mano River, which they all belong to. But they should not be antagonizing ECOWAS or their neighbors. If they are fighting against former colonial powers, they can do that as a group, or find a way of doing that without necessarily creating, anarchy or instability in the region.
Good place to leave it. We have completely run out of time, Mr. Jime, but we'll continue this conversation subsequently, especially considering ECOWAS' vision of a borderless region. There are still challenges with how much money you have to pay at the borders if you're traveling from Lagos to Accra, for instance. The Benue State governor recently talked about being excused us from the transhuman agreement because most of the killer headers are coming from outside the country. Lots of conversations in this regard, but we'll find time to talk about that subsequently. Paul Ejima, thank you so much for joining us.
On the news. 10 minutes is less. Absolutely. Not enough time to deal with
we'll sure continue.
50 years
absolutely.
Challenges. And
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.